You know, for years I've been a staunch advocate of the scientific method, especially as it applies to paranormal research. And for years people have debated whether such a method could ever be useful in that context. After all, paranormal phenomena really isn't something you can study in the lab. The alleged occurrences are sporadic and far from repeatable or even predictable. And those are two elements that are traditionally roadblocks in controlled research. But that doesn't mean that this research is free from scientific responsibility or incapable of being researched with the scientific method. I will explain. You see, for the trick here is that we're not attempting to undeniably prove the existence of paranormal phenomena, but rather the plausibility that it could exist. And to prove the plausibility of any concept, especially this one, requires more than just answering a single question, such as, does it exist? You see, the answer to just about every question we ask, even the small ones, are generally reliant on an often long subset of conditions to be true before that answer can be considered plausible. I'll give you an example. If I were to ask you if a light was on in your living room right now and you were to answer yes, it may seem like a simple reaction to just accept your answer at face value. Most people would. But the reality is that the plausibility of your answer is contingent on a few pre-existing conditions also being true. Things such as, do you have a home that contains a living room? Does the living room contain light? Is there sufficient power for the light to be on? Is the light functional? And do you have sufficient access or ability to observe the light being on? They all may seem like mundane questions, but they are conditions that we must accept as true in order for that final answer of yes to be plausible. A common trait among all these subset questions is that they're easily verifiable and therefore easily accepted. After all, we can visit your home and see your living room for ourselves. We can see the light in your living room with our own eyes and verify that it has sufficient power and that you have access to observe it. This question and answer contains something that the scientific community just eats up: demonstrability, i.e. the ability to demonstrate. Anyone can verify the elements of this scenario, and that adds strength to the plausibility of the claim. Now, let's look at a more obscure question. Do ghosts exist? If I ask you if ghosts exist and you reply yes, just like the first example, I would have to accept that a subset of conditions must also be true. Since we're not going to get into a long drawn-out philosophy discussion concerning the definition of the word ghost, and there are many, for the purpose of this demonstration we'll stick with the dictionary definition. A ghost is an apparition of a dead person that is believed to appear or become manifest to the living. So for the answer yes to be plausible, we need to also be able to answer yes to the following. Does the human body contain an element that survives death? Can that element retain identifiable features such as personality, visual attributes, intelligence, memory? And can that element manifest in a method that can be observed by living humans? There are many more questions, but I think you get the idea. If any of these subset elements fail to be shown as plausible through scientific experimentation, then the concept they support also fails.